The crisp Ayodhya air, thick with the scent of marigolds and the sweet smoke of incense, crackled with an energy both ancient and utterly new. On the Ram Mandir's first Diwali, the Festival of Lights, the city itself became a scripture written in flame. Thousands of diyas flickered, their collective radiance transforming the newly consecrated temple into a beacon of pure gold light. A celestial palace descended upon the banks of the Saryu River. The soundscape was a symphony of devotion, the resonant clang of temple bells, the murmur of a million prayers, the joyous chants of Jai Shri Ram rising like a tide. But listen closer, beneath the sacred hum, and you could hear another sound, the distinct frequency of a city awakening to a new destiny. This was not just a spiritual celebration, it was the vivid, tangible ignition of a new economic paradigm. In the weeks and months surrounding the temple's consecration, media reports and government projections painted a picture of staggering transformation. Headlines spoke not only of spiritual fulfillment, but of economic dividends, of a projected 50 million tourists a year, more than the annual visitors to Mecca and the Vatican combined. This was the birth of a mega project, a spiritual hub engineered for a global audience. The old Ayodhya, a town of quiet lanes and historic temples, was being rapidly overlaid with the infrastructure of a modern metropolis. A gleaming new international airport, named after the sage Valmiki, now welcomes pilgrims from across the world. The railway station, redesigned to echo temple architecture, prepares for an unprecedented influx. On what were once dusty outskirts, international hotel chains are breaking ground, their blueprints promising five-star comfort just a stone's throw from sacred ground. The surge rippled through every sector. Local businesses, from the humble flower vendor whose daily sales multiplied tenfold to the artisan carving wooden idols of Lord Rama, found themselves at the epicenter of a boom. This spectacle, meticulously planned and masterfully executed, served as a powerful symbolic declaration. It was a statement that Ayodhya was not only reclaiming its spiritual heritage after centuries of contention, but was also positioning itself as a premier destination on the world's map of religious tourism. It represents a deliberate and profound fusion of faith and national aspiration, where the path to spiritual merit is paved with modern infrastructure and economic opportunity. The pilgrim of the 21st century arrives not just with a prayer on their lips, but with a smartphone in hand, ready to book a hotel, scan a QR code for donations, and share their experience of Darshan with a global network. The very act of pilgrimage is being reimagined, scaled up for an age of mass mobility and digital connectivity. But as we witness this incandescent glow, a fundamental question arises. How does this modern spectacle of faith and finance connect to Ayodhya's ancient past as a pilgrimage hub? And what does this grand awakening reveal about the timeless, evolving nature of sacred economies? Imagine, for a moment, an ancient pilgrim. Let us peel back the centuries and walk beside them on a dusty, sun-baked road leading to Ayodhya. Their journey is arduous, undertaken not in an air-conditioned coach, but on foot over weeks or even months. They are not a tourist, they are a yatri, a traveler on a sacred quest. Their motivation is not sightseeing, but the accumulation of punya, or spiritual merit, a currency for the soul that promises a better life and perhaps liberation from the cycle of rebirth. Their ultimate goal is Darshan, the sacred sight of the divine, a profound reciprocal moment of seeing and being seen by the deity. Yet their path, while deeply spiritual, was never purely ethereal. From the moment they left their village, their quest was embedded in a complex material ecosystem. This journey, known as Tirtha Yatra, has always been a powerful economic engine. The pilgrim would need shelter at night, finding it in dharmashalas, or guest houses, often built by wealthy patrons as an act of merit. They would need food, purchasing it from roadside stalls and local markets. Upon reaching Ayodhya, their spiritual duties would require material transactions. They would be met by temple priests or pandas who would act as guides, facilitating rituals and explaining the significance of the sacred sites in exchange for dakshina, a donation or fee. They would purchase offerings, coconuts, incense, flowers, and ghee for lamps, from vendors whose families had likely served pilgrims for generations. Historical texts like the Skanda Purana implicitly reveal the intricate ecosystem that surrounded pilgrimage. While not economic treatises, these Puranas are encyclopedias of sacred geography. They meticulously map out the holy sites, or tirthas, detailing the specific rituals to be performed and the merits to be gained at each one. This textual mapping created a predictable flow of people, and where people flow, commerce follows. Archaeology corroborates this textual evidence. Excavations around major temple towns across India frequently uncover the foundations of sprawling marketplaces, the remains of artisan workshops, and caches of coins, some from distant lands, testament to the far-reaching trade networks that pilgrimage routes supported. The theological justification for this intermingling is profound. The concept of dana, or selfless giving, is central to Hindu practice. Donating to a temple, feeding priests, or giving alms to the poor within the sacred precinct of a tirtha was considered one of the most effective ways to earn punya. Thus, the economic act was sanctified. Spending money was reframed as a spiritual investment. The prosperity of a holy city was seen not as a sign of materialism, but as a reflection of its spiritual power, a manifestation of divine grace that attracted both devotees and wealth. This historical context provides the crucial understanding that the intersection of faith and finance is not a modern corruption, but a deeply rooted, symbiotic relationship. Piety has always required patronage, and sacred spaces have always been sustained by the material contributions of the faithful. This ancient echo provides the framework for understanding both the immense opportunities and the unique challenges of Ayodhya's new pilgrimage economy, an economy operating on a scale its ancient architects could never have imagined. Today, a pilgrim arriving in Ayodhya navigates a landscape that is a world away from that of their ancient predecessors. After passing through a state-of-the-art security terminal, they might purchase their prasad, the blessed food offering, from a modern, hygienically packaged vendor, perhaps paying with a tap of their phone. They may buy a souvenir, not a simple hand-carved idol, but a laser-engraved crystal or a high-quality print of Lord Rama. Then they join a queue, a meticulously organized, barricaded line of humanity that can stretch for miles, inching slowly forward for their moment of darshan. This single scene encapsulates the profound paradox at the heart of Ayodhya's transformation. The intensely personal spiritual quest for a sacred site now operates within the framework of a massive, burgeoning commercial ecosystem. The economic data is undeniably impressive. Government and industry reports point to a multi-billion-dollar boost to the regional economy, a tourism-driven renaissance creating hundreds of thousands of jobs in hospitality, transportation, and construction. For proponents, this is a clear sign of divine blessing, a righteous prosperity that is the deserved outcome of a long-awaited reclamation. They argue that this economic boom is not a distraction from the sacred, but a necessary support for it. A well-managed, well-funded temple can serve more devotees, maintain its magnificent structure, and perform its rituals with greater splendor. The development of the surrounding town, they contend, is a form of service to the pilgrims, making their journey safer, more comfortable, and more accessible. In this view, commerce is the handmaiden of faith, enabling the sacred to flourish on an unprecedented scale. However, this rapid transformation also fuels a deep and ongoing debate about the very nature of sacred space. Critics and concerned observers raise questions about the potential for over-commercialization. When a spiritual journey is surrounded by a five-star hotel, a food court, and a souvenir megastore, is its essential character altered? Does the emphasis on crowd management, efficiency, and revenue generation risk turning a transformative experience into a transactional one? There are also complex cultural and social implications. The real estate boom and the influx of large businesses can drive up the cost of living, potentially displacing long-term residents and smaller traditional artisans who cannot compete. This grand religious project inevitably ripples through the cultural and political fabric of the nation, shaping narratives of identity and heritage. Ayodhya becomes more than a pilgrimage site. It becomes a statement, a symbol in a larger discourse about the soul of a modern nation. Ultimately, Ayodhya in its present form is a living testament to how ancient faith continues to powerfully shape modern economies and identities. It compels us to move beyond simple binaries of pure spirituality versus corrupting commerce. For the millions of devotees who throng its gates, the surrounding development may be an irrelevance, or even a welcome convenience. The moment of Darshan, however brief, remains the singular, transcendent purpose of their journey. Ayodhya today is a crucible, a place where the timeless human yearning for connection with the divine is being negotiated within the complex, often contradictory, forces of the 21st century. It stands as a profound case study, prompting us to critically examine the ever-evolving and often paradoxical relationship between the sacred and the material.